Hey, what's up YouTube? Today I have another knife review for you. Alright YouTube, so comes in a nice box. This is the full name of it, right? And the item number. Alright, so this is how it'll come. Now I already took it out and used it, but I put it back in because I want you to see exactly what you would get if you were to purchase this knife. Now this is an assisted opening knife, right? It's got a flipper. Opens very smoothly. It's got FRN handle scales, open pillar construction. It's a liner lock. You see the clip there. So how's the lockup on this? It's a solid lockup. There's no blade play. The blade length on this is 3.6 inches. I did weigh this knife when I was back home. It weighed about 6.1 ounces, which was a little heavier than they had listed, all right? So around 6.1 ounces, and that is because those liners are relatively thick. You see that. So as you saw, the flipper on this works very well. All right, the steel on this is 8CR13 MOV. That is the same stainless steel that's on a Spyderco Tenacious. The price on this is usually around $40. So I am an old school collector. I happen to have my S.E.R.E 2000, right? This is the original Almar S.E.R.E 2000, right? So for comparison, this is the Almar S.E.R.E 2000, and this is the Almar S.E.R.E 2020. The big difference here is the price, right? This knife was about $150 when I bought it, right? So $150, the new one is $40, and the steel. This is VG10, right? This is VG10, so a better steel and just a completely different price category, right? Completely different price category. So this is basically a budget version of this old knife with a flipper and assisted opening, right? I have no problem with a budget version, but they should make another high-end version, because once you get this, if you use this as your beater, I mean, I'd like the opportunity to buy this in a more premium steel. All right, and here's more comparison for you. So, very similar blade shapes. Here's a little flyby. Yeah, I've always been a fan of Almar knives. I have a lot of their classic older knives, actually. I collect Almar knives. Yeah, the original Almar S.E.R.E 2000. Yes, you know, Almar did pass away some years ago, right? But his legacy lives on, definitely. But this is a true classic. I really appreciate having this in my collection. And there are the two knives, and the creek is flowing very strong. We had a lot of rain. But basically the old knife is almost 4 times the price of the new knife, right? So they've gone from somewhat expensive folders to the budget category, right? And the new one is made in China. The old one is made in Japan. Honestly, as a collector of old school Almar knives, I was very skeptical of these new China-made Almar knives. I mean, you know, I'm sure you can understand that. But now that I have this in hand, I have to confess, it's better than I thought it would be. I do think the flipper is an improvement, even though, you know, an assisted flipper, it might remind you of like Bud K type knives. But the fact is, this is just like easier to open than the original. And also this being here, if the lock were to fail, right, that being here prevents it, it inhibits it from closing all the way on you. It would pinch you, but it kind of protects you from that edge. The steel, it's okay for this price point. It's not going to have the greatest edge retention. I don't feel like that really matters for just a day-to-day pocket knife, a a budget beater. I think it'll be fine for just opening packages and just the type of stuff most people use a beater knife for. Now YouTube, if you want to support this channel and video makers, I will include links below the video. I want to make clear, you do not have to buy the item in the link in order to support the channel. If you use those links, you can buy anything and it will support the channel. So if you click on the link for this knife and then you search up paracord and rechargeable batteries and buy those, that will benefit the channel. Okay? So I'm not trying to sell you this knife, because that's not how those links work, okay? So yeah, if you support the channel, buy literally anything through those links. I would recommend rechargeable batteries, paracord, wool socks. You can always use stuff like that. I hope you're all doing well these days. It's a little bit cold at the creek today because I'm here even earlier than usual. All right, so it's about like 24 degrees. It's supposed to warm up to a nice, 30, 31 degrees, which is pretty warm to me, right? So it's just slightly chilly out here, but I got my gloves, I got all my gear, right? But it's a perfect day as far as the sun, right? Because there isn't much. There's not a lot of shadows, which is actually perfect for video making. Alright, so this is doing well drawing down this piece of wood. Yeah, you could certainly whittle with this. Alright, pushed it right through. Alright, some bike tire tubing. I did well on that. It's a pocket knife. I don't really torture test pocket knives. I'm a guy who's into knives. I've done 1,000 videos on knives. I give you my honest opinion. I do cut a few things. People want to hyper focus. Oh, you should cut this, don't cut that. Look, you just go away if you're like that. I don't care. Most reviews on YouTube are tabletop reviews where they cut 0. Okay? So you should just thank me for cutting anything, or go watch those tabletop reviews. You should basically think of this as a really well-made S.E.R.E Mew knife. That's about the quality level. It's like an exceptionally precisely well-made S.E.R.E Mew type of knife, right? So that's how you should think of this. You should think of this as kind of on par with a Spyderco Tenacious. Yeah, I am glad they made this knife. I mean, some people might think that Almar is rolling in his grave. Well, it doesn't matter. Sometimes you have to let the old things die, right? To make way for the new, the old things die. And the truth is, those old Almars are VG10. And I like VG10. But I mean, it's not really a very sought after steel anymore. Would you buy a $150 knife that was VG10 today? Right? That was around this size? I don't know. I mean, aside from the classic Delica and Endura, you don't really see a lot of VG10 anymore. Although I do see it in some folding kitchen knives now and then. You should buy this and just pretend that you don't know about all the old Almars and what Almar used to be, right? Just pretend that this is like a completely new brand that just arrived yesterday and they made this. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed seeing this. I also got the new Almar Eagle, right? The Almar Eagle, so that'll be another review. And I plan to get the mini version of this and the D2 blackout version of this. Alright, so those will all be coming up.